Shark fans, and welcome back to the Hudson Homers podcast. We got CB here. We got Coach Finwood. We got Blake Morgan joining us here in a little while. A big weekend of baseball, going to be followed up by an even bigger weekend of baseball, then another big weekend of baseball. We are in the thick of it right now. But CB, how was your week? How was your weekend?
It was good. I mean, it's not always fun when you can't watch the team. So I did enjoy Sunday, even though that Middle Tennessee broadcast might have been actually worse than just watching the stats. It
What?
was pretty
Why is
brutal.
that, CB? I didn't
Uh,
hear it.
I know you weren't involved in the game. The announcing wasn't great, which I kind of go with whatever on, but like the camera work was brutal. The camera angles were bad. The camera, the cutting from one camera to the other, they just had no. I mean, I get a lot of times they just have students or whatever, but I mean, you got to get a student who's at least seen baseball one time in their life before. So it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, I heard you are the third or fourth person that's said that, and it just doesn't surprise you. I mean, they don't have replay. They don't. It's always a shit show when you go to play the Mutts. You know, us old Western Kentucky people call them the Mutts and said MTS used to MTS the Mutts, and all the old Western people were texting. You know, they're always happy when anybody beats them. So Wood was happy too.
I said their logo looks like a diagram of a uterus. I don't know why or like a UTI thing. I don't know what that thing is.
It's terrible, isn't it? Like the
It's pretty bad.
the spaghetti tee, and they have
Yeah.
a logo I think on their football helmets. It's like a block tee with the
Yeah, it looks nice.
whatever going through it. That looks cool.
Yeah.
Why they use that for baseball is the only sport that uses it,
Yeah.
and there's some sort of story behind it, but man, it's bad. It's a bad
They should
logo.
stop telling that story.
Yeah, they should. It's one of the top. It's in the top 5 worst logos like in the country.
It's weird too, because normally like the team specific logos, like all of the ODU baseball specific logos, I think are better than some of our primary logos. Man,
Right.
I saw that thing. I was like, whoa, who are
What
we
were
playing again?
What were we going with there? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
So,
time for a
but they have
refresh in the branding.
they've never had a good playing surface forever. That didn't change. They have a nice stadium. They did a nice job with their press box and the grandstands. They probably renovated that, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I suppose. And so they did a nice job with that. Dugouts are nice, all of that. You know, it's a smaller ballpark, which the game one on Friday, but the game before ours, I think there was like 10 home runs hit, and then the wind changed. It got cold, and then there was none really, a couple, but St. Bonaventure went 3-0 down there, which is interesting. They pitched it really well. They got their guy threw against MTSU Saturday. We didn't see him, but he was throwing 98.
Jeez.
I actually, the kid Tucker Genovese that got a couple of hits against y'all. I knew him from playing at Paul D. Camp down the road in Franklin. There, he sent me a message after the game. He's like, "I got a couple hits against your boys." I was like, "I saw you, man. Saw your name pop up.
Wow.
Good for you."
How about that?
Yeah, he's a good kid, good ball player.
They got some big hits in that game, and I guess we could start talking about. I mean, the story for our weekend is just, we're not. I told the guys before yesterday's game, it's like, hey, look, man, again, we're tied or in the 7th, 8th inning, but at some point, you got to get some timely hits to win baseball games, and we just. Really Friday or Saturday. The Saturday we got 0. Obviously, we got 0. We didn't score any runs, but in that game Friday, man, we had second and third, 2 innings, basically. Maybe the 4th and the 6th, and second and third, 1 out, and TJ up, and he struck out both times, and that changed that game around. A chance to take the lead both times. And didn't. I think Luke may have not, I don't even remember, but we just didn't get it done with runners in scoring position. Lots of opportunities, and we had a good. Ben got off to a good start. He was under the weather all week, and we were hoping to get 5 out of him. And he was throwing the ball great early, and he just completely ran out of gas fast. And
Well,
you know,
I'm
then,
actually glad to hear it's that, because I know there was a single up the middle, I think, on the batter before he came out. We were worried that he tweaked something on the mound.
yeah, no, nothing wrong. We just said, hey, we're going to leave him in there for the first guy. If a guy gets on, we're going to get him. He wanted to go back out. He was really not feeling well. We probably, in hindsight, it's always that. And then, Nick gives up a 3-run homer. But we came back and tied it up after that, so that didn't cost us the game. And so it's timely hitting. And then, when we're getting beat, it's always, walks that follow up a single, or hit by pitch that follows up a single. It's the free bases out of the bullpen that are getting us. So that's it. And then, we got some guys that are pretty good hitters that are off to slow starts offensively. And, that's frustrating because those guys got to hit for us to score. So, and so, you lose, you lose whatever it was, 7-4 Friday. And, Saturday was cold day, man. It was cold, and Sunday was colder, but Saturday was cold and the wind was blowing straight in. And Dylan, spun another gem, man. Was he throwing 23 scoreless innings, I think, to start the year, something like that?
19 scoreless with 30 strikeouts.
Yeah, 19 scoreless with 30 strikeouts. That's a pretty good start. And he worked out of a jam early. Kyle made a couple good plays to save a couple runs, and we had guys on second base that felt like every inning, and just could not get a knock to get him in. And then finally in the 8th, they kind of took advantage of a couple, hit batter, a couple walks, and hung a 5 spot on us before you know it, and then one in the 9th. So, you throw 7 shutout innings, and we weren't going to leave Dylan in for too long. It was a cold day. He was coming off, 8 innings the week before. We said maybe 6 is the most, and so that's just protecting him for the long haul. And somebody else has to step up. I mean, Marco threw a really good 7th, and then went out there and just completely imploded in the 8th. And so, we just got to be better than that right there. But so disappointing, to say the least. Obviously, you drop 2 to 2 teams that, if you play well, you should beat. You got to give them credit. They did play well. And I told the guys Sunday, I was like, it comes right now. It's come down to this. We've played 9 games to that point, and really only been out of 1. That was East Carolina last Tuesday. And but you guys, it's timely hitting, and it's free bases out of the bullpen, and whether it's a walk, hit batter, and that's what's getting us. And those are fixable things. The timely hitting is a weird phenomenon in baseball. Sometimes you just got to bleed one in there, man, and the floodgates start opening up, and we're giving up some of those, and we're not getting them.
I was kind of breaking down some stats a little bit, because I think those are worthwhile to do, to kind of examine some things. And right now, we're striking out in 35% of our at bats.
Yep.
So it's really bad. You're not putting the ball in play. Yep. So that's going to hurt you for timely hitting. And then the second thing that I thought was really interesting is the lack of putting the ball, not only just not putting the ball in play, but not putting the ball in play with any kind of authority. A stat I like is isolated slugging, which is a really easy one to figure out. You take slugging percentage, subtract the batting average. Anything around 100 is kind of average. For an example, in 2022, when we were amazing, the isolated slugging was 257, which is insane. Last year was 155, which is outstanding. Right now, as a team, we're at 084, which is not good.
No,
this past week, the last 4 games is 030. Yeah. So it's not just not putting the ball in play, but not putting the ball in play with any authority. So it's, I didn't want to go through all the box scores to figure out the number of strikeouts looking, but anecdotally it feels like a lot of strikeouts looking, which is a real problem.
And yesterday in particular it felt that way. Without a doubt, we struck out 16 times. I'll say this: at the beginning of that, we said, "Look, this guy's got a fantastic arm. Their starter. I mean, he's throwing 95." It looked harder than that on a cold day.
Mhm.
The breaking ball was very inconsistent. So I just told the guys, let's just play the long game here and get in their bullpen. And we're going to take breaking balls up until 2 strikes, period. And just try to get the pitch count up, which we did. He threw 90-something pitches and didn't get out of 4th. So that worked. We struck out 8 times. A couple of those are on, called third breaking balls, but some of them were on fastballs too. The interesting thing about that, which is really scary to me as a coach, is I had a conversation with a couple guys about you're not swinging at the breaking ball until 2 strikes, period. And we swung at some 3-1 breaking balls that bounced. That's not good. It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how else to cut it. I asked, I was like, I don't even know what to say about that. Like, what are you doing? And so it's disappointing. I'm not trying to get on our guys like publicly, but this is Division I baseball, man. Like, nobody does that. No good players do that. And so they gotta, we got some guys got to take some accountability into being ball players, like you said. Don't strike out looking with a guy on third. We did that a couple times yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
get the ball in play. It's not that hard to get it in play. And I think we're, this generation wants all this information, right? And they're smart and they train well and all that, but they don't compete enough. Like, sometimes it's just gritting your teeth and choking up and saying, I'm getting this ball in play. The middle infield's back. I can hit a 20 hopper to shortstop and we got to run, and we have done a very, very poor job of that. So we got to take responsibility for it because we're the coaches, and we got to find a way to get these guys to be tougher in the batter's box. The first guy striking out 8 with the plan we had, that doesn't bother me as much as the reliever they brought in. I thought was just very, very blah, very average, very vanilla. It was 85 with a decent breaking ball, nothing great. And we struck out 7 times on him, and we're taking fastballs and swinging that balls in the dirt. And, it's just it's not great. On the positive side, Kyle Edwards had a good day yesterday. He got a couple of hits, stole 3 bases. One of his outs was a bullet to third with a guy on third and 2 outs that got caught. Zach Lead had a big day for us with 3 hits and some RBIs, got us going. He's a guy that I just got to give a chance to play because he's been one of our more consistent hitters. Kanan Jordan.
Is his defense a reason that you haven't played him as much?
Yeah, Zach's not a great athlete. And sometimes focus for him is an issue, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
and
because he's a hell of a hitter.
Yeah, he's a pretty good hitter, and he hits the ball all over the place. And he's got a little power. I think as it warms up and the wind blows out a little bit, he'll show some of that. But he's got to be leading the team in doubles, I would think, at this point. And
I think it's still Efren.
Is it F? Yeah. But he, it seems like
he's right there. He's got 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Lead does. Is it lead or light? I keep saying it.
Leet. I think it's Leet.
Okay.
I call him Leet, so maybe it is light. Maybe that's the problem. I'm calling his name the wrong way.
This guy I never called by the right name can't focus.
But I'm glad we won, and we won because Blake pitched great.
Yeah.
Talk about his outing in a second, but I told the guy, like, the reason we won is because we stole 6 bases because they were terrible at holding runners. And we were able to, we stole third, they threw a ball away. At second, we stole third again and threw another one away. They gave us 3 runs. And, it's like, you got to evaluate things the right way, guys. Like, you have to earn this stuff, man. That's not going to happen in Sunbelt play. It's just not. Their backup catcher was in there, and he's throwing the ball all over the place.
It felt like you all were putting a lot of pressure on them yesterday on the base pass. And
we had to because we were not hitting. You might as well roll the dice, right?
That's how
definitely.
it felt watching. Yeah, that was you guys like, we got to create something.
Yeah, we had to try it. So, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we just have to be better. There's some guys in there that are capable, and just a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of not tough-minded at bats by any means. Like you said, striking out 35% of the time is absurd. That's an absurd.
And I'm with you. I mean, like I said,
Shameful.
that last out that Kyle had where he lines out to third, it's like, hey, you know what? You hit the ball in the nails, and that you put the ball in play, something can happen. Because like you just
Yeah,
said, they gave you a bunch of runs because they're college kids. Even when you play a
that's
really
right.
good team, they're college kids.
Yeah.
They make mistakes. When you put the ball in play, things can happen. When you don't put the
Yep.
ball in play, you can just walk back to the dugout. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of our guys that are hitting in the middle of the order, man, just aren't producing right now. You know, we got guys with 2 RBIs, 3 RBIs, 10 games into the season. Man, that's 20% of your season. You know, and I'm going, is this guy going to end up with 15 RBIs on the season? Like, that's terrible. Come on. And so, you know, I like to create confidence and pump our guys up and, you know, show faith in them. But I'm also going to be honest with them. Like, you guys ain't getting the job done right now, period. So whatever you think is working, it's not. And most of it is, I think, passive approaches at the plate, swinging it, breaking balls out of the zone, not swinging enough fastballs, and not battling enough with 2 strikes. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And so we'll get back to work tomorrow, and you know, I'm going to give it to them pretty good. And you know, we got to toughen up. We're getting ready to face some pretty good arms in this stretch coming up for sure. And our starting pitching is giving us a chance, you know, and we've, you know, Kellen Davis has thrown the ball pretty well for us out of the pen. I think Tyler Stott has thrown the ball pretty well for us out of the pen. Bailey Mattel has thrown the ball pretty well for us out of the pen. We got some guys, you know, that I think are improving, and we can find ways to get that mixed together. You know, it's definitely concerning about Ben not being able to, you know, get through 5 innings yet. And, you know, Ben's been a reliever, and we're trying to convert him into a starter, and that's a process. And I think, you know, he's going to get another start this weekend and see how it goes. But, you know, his first 3 innings are usually like just lights out, maybe even 4. We got to figure out how, if we can't get more than that, then we're going to have to stick him in the bullpen and try to use that. It's just the way it's going to have to be. But
I mean, you saw that with Holobets last year. That there's nothing wrong with.
No, we did it with John. We gave him the first 4 weeks to start, and it wasn't great. And then I said, look, we'll go with an opener, and we'll dump you in the game in the 3rd inning. And he was pretty good. So it's just kind of, you know, sometimes guys get a chance, you know, the opportunity to finish a game is something that sometimes guys, you know, like too. Like most starters certainly don't finish a game. But you get in there in the 3rd or 4th inning, and you're a pretty good arm, you might be able to do that. So we'll see. You know, it's still got some work to do on that. We're gonna
Talk about Blake yesterday.
Yeah. Blake was, you know, that's as good as I've seen him throw. Against a good hitting team, their numbers were really good coming in, and a small ballpark. He looked. The fastball was better. I mean, he was still throwing 90 when he went out there in the, you know, for the 7th inning, for the 8th inning rather. And so the fastball wasn't, you know, losing any velocity, which is one of the things you look at, you know, when guys are getting tired. And he wasn't losing location. Sometimes it's not the velocity, the ball ends up high. They lose, or they start hanging pitches, their location suffers. But he got that changeup going, man, and he was in the rocking chair just feeling it. It felt a lot like his bunch of starts his freshman year, you know, and I was like, man, we don't need to take him out. And that was definitely as many pitches as he's ever thrown here, I think. It was his longest outing of his career. Was 7 2/3, I believe, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was. It felt like the pitching on Sunday set up. You couldn't have drawn up a better picture, right? You get a great outing from Blake. You go 7 2/3. Then you're able to go with Kellen and Bailey to close it out. I mean, that's from like a pitching standpoint. You draw it on paper, of course, before the game. It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, and it's just nothing's easy right now, right? Like we bring Bailey face a lefty. He hangs a breaking ball, got singles. Okay, no big deal. One out. Kellen, gets the first out, and then the guy bloops one up the middle, and Ron catches it and kind of bobbles it. Well, the guy thought he dropped it, and he was halfway to second, and Ron didn't look up fast enough or that game's over. But still, we got runner on first, 2 outs. We're up by 2, and we get just a jam shot routine ground ball to a freshman playing third, and he kicks it, and just part of getting better and learning how to play. He just kind of spazzed out on it.
Was that ball going like sideways? It looked like the hitter hit it weird.
He just rushed it. He was going to go to second, I think, for the short throw, and he just rushed it. And then I thought we struck the kid out, man. Backdoor breaking ball, and Evan thought it was a strike. Bailey thought it was a strike. The umpires didn't. So, so now you got
that happened a lot.
Yeah, and they pinch hit, and you're going, oh my gosh, here we go. And we got a fly ball left field, and game over. So Bailey did a great job. Kellen did a great job. We pitched really, really well yesterday. On Sunday, the whole team 3 runs. It's a great job of pitching for sure. So we did just enough offensively to get there. So guys are just off to really slow starts, and it's been cold, and I'm not using that as an excuse, but it's going to start warming up, and we're going to scrimmage tomorrow, and be a nice day here tomorrow, and try to get those bats going. And I think that the thing that guys today think everything's about mechanics and what their bodies are doing, and I don't think that's it. You certainly need to have solid mechanics, but it's really more about your attitude as a hitter. The best teams we've had, man, I mean, our guys didn't take fastballs. Like, they were hacking, right? And they were trying to hit doubles early, and then with 2 strikes, they're just battling. And we don't have enough of that type of grit yet. And so we've got to get there, and it can turn around. Like I said, a couple guys shorten their swings up and get some balls in play, and you punch one through here or there, and all of a sudden it kind of can turn around for you. So that's the hope, and we'll keep working on that for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to get some thoughts on your philosophy of, like, all right, you can have slow starts in baseball and completely turn your season around by the end of the year. Major League Baseball obviously got 162 games to figure that out, so they may use 150 at bats to figure out, like, is this a cold start, or is this just how this person is going to play this year? Like, do you have any mindset on that, or thoughts that go through your head, or is it truly case by case?
It's 100% case by case, and I'm a big believer in the look in the eyes test, man. Like, when I look at these guys in their eyes, I look at their eyes when they're out there competing. If I see the right look, then I'm like, all right, we're off to a slow start. We can fix this. When you see the wrong look, you can't outcoach that. Like, that's competition anxiety. That's something you got to go see the Wizard of Oz for. And get some courage. It's like the Cowardly Lion. You got to go get some courage. And that's a Paul Keyes throwback quote, by the way. I used to say, man, I think this guy needs to do this, and he go, Coach, this guy needs to go see the Wizard of Oz and get some courage.
That's great.
And when you see that look, and we have a couple guys that have seen it both on the mound and on the field. It's scary as a coach, because I don't think you can't outcoach that. You can't overcome it, because it's something that's inside that guy. I'll never understand it. All the sports psychologists in the world, I understand psychology and anxiousness and, wanting something that hasn't happened yet. That's the cause of all this anxiety, right? You're worried about results instead of being present. But I'm not smart enough to overcome that. Like, when you get a kid like that, man, I really don't know what to tell him, because it's just not something I've ever believed could happen. You know, I mean, I just think you go out and you compete, and you it's a blast to compete, and you go you against that guy, and I don't know how guys paralyze themselves with anxiety like playing a baseball game. I mean, it's not like a life or death thing, you know. And some of these guys are really good in practice when there's no score up there. And as soon as the game starts against a different team, they change. And that's an epidemic, man. I see more and more of that every year. Like these kids today, they go to all these academies, they have all this metrical stuff, and they're really good at training. Like really good at training. They're strong, they're big, fast. They're terrible at competing. Like they don't know how to compete because they don't do it enough. Like, you know, and you know, maybe that's something we gotta, you know, get a little bit better at certainly too. But it's a cultural thing, I think, and a generational thing. Like this group of kids are awesome kids to be around. They're fun. They're smart. They do things the right way. They are not competitive enough, and that's something that's just being honest.
Well, that's the one where I like this past weekend was the NFL Combine on TV, like for it, and like I don't care about the underwear Olympics. Like that means
Yeah.
nothing. This
No.
guy can jump the highest. Congrats. I don't know what that does for you in a football game where you gotta be ultra
Right.
competitive.
Yeah, and you might not be able to read what the you know the blocking
Yeah.
schemes or something like that, right? And I tell guys all the time too, guys, baseball is a thinking man's game. Like you have to evaluate the situation you're in. Like I got second and third in the infield's back, man. I'm gonna try to hit a fly ball and drive both of them in early in the count, and then after that, I'm just gonna choke up and hit a ground ball and get one of them in. You know, I don't think guys process that. They're going, I got to get a hit, you know, my batting average. And it's about scoring runs. It's not about batting average.
That's also about selfishness versus team.
100%.
I got to get a hit as opposed to
Yeah.
I got to do anything I can to help my team right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then I hear, oh, I just missed it. What?
Right. Horseshoes and hand grenades.
You're just missing everything. Like you're missing the whole point of this, which is to help us win. You know, you could get a bunt down and help us win. And so those are the things, you know, we certainly, it's on me, man. I take responsibility for everything we don't do right. And it bothers me to no end that we are this soft offensively right now. And we are. That's all I can say. We're soft, and we give in too easy, and swings are too big, and we got to do a better job coaching them. It's simple.
Yeah, I was thinking that watching the game because you know I was there a few weeks ago at Georgia Tech and I'm hanging out at BP and watching, and I know you guys are playing the games with yourselves. Like here's a situation, you got to hit a fly ball and you're having a competition right there
Right.
with among each other. So I know
Yeah.
you're putting it in their minds. This is what we do in these situations. So you got to be killing you, and you're like, okay, what are we doing all this for? You think we're just out here
Right.
for nothing?
Yeah. Yeah. And taking the stuff that you practice on into the games, right? Like being able to replicate that in a competitive environment. Like that's also something that, you know, we've got struggling with right now. So it's all fixable stuff. We just got to keep working on it. When your starting pitch is pretty good, you're going to have a chance. And so far, our starting pitch has been very good in 9 out of the 10 games we've played. You know, the bullpen game last Tuesday against East Carolina got away from us early, and you know it wasn't. But all the other ones we've pitched pretty good enough to have a chance to win. And so you got to keep that up, because if you don't do that, it doesn't matter how you hit. You know, and my dad used to say, if you ain't got much, so don't talk to me about the hitters. I don't know. And so, but we've pitched it pretty well, and I think some guys are going to keep coming on. You know, we've got another lefty that hasn't pitched yet. He's a transfer from USC, from Southern Cal, Dylan Tostrup, and he's a veteran guy whose arm's starting to come around now, and he's going to throw a few innings in scrimmage tomorrow. We'll bring him with us on the trip. I think he's another arm that can help us. And so, you know, Luke Ridley's getting healthy. He's thrown, you know, part of an inning, but he's starting to feel better. I think he's an arm that can help us. So there's some pieces coming there, and that I think are have a chance to add. And the role, we knew the roles were going to take a little while to shake themselves out, and that's certainly been the case.
Yeah. Well, I know Blake is backstage. We'll be bringing him on here shortly. But wanted to talk about the big trip coming up. Auburn coming out. I think they're ranked as high as 22nd. I saw in some polls.
Yeah.
And then Mississippi State and Southern Miss right after that. So I think that toughness you're talking about, you'll find out quickly.
Yeah, we're playing like 7 ranked games in a row. That's quite a lot. And it's baseball, right? You got to go play. And so I guess next Tuesday we won't be able to do this because we'll be playing. So we might have, or next Monday we'll do it. I'm sorry. Yeah. So next Monday we'll do it.
We will not do it next Tuesday. I'm with you.
We'll not do it next Tuesday. Yeah. Sorry. We will be.
I'll tell you, I'll pull it up during the game, and I'll just kind of walk over to you. Will that bother you during the game? You think?
Live from the dugout.
Yeah. Half the time I just say, hey, wake me up in the 7th if we're still in it. I'll put a bunt sign on or something, right? Well, that's right. I don't know where I'm running on a few hours sleep. Next Monday we'll do it from a hotel room to
a hotel room,
somewhere. And hopefully we'll have some cool stuff to talk about on the trip. Real quick. Really cool to get a chance to go back to Auburn. Spent 5 wonderful years there. Still have some great friends there. Obviously, one of my best friends, Carl Nonamaker, is one of their assistant coaches. Their hitting coach, Gabe Gross, played for me there. Butch Thompson, their head coach, is a longtime friend. So, there's a lot of familiarity there, and it'll be neat to go back there and see some of the new things they've built with their ballpark. It's beautiful there, and looks like the weather's going to be pretty good on Friday and Sunday, maybe a little bit of rain Saturday or something like that. And then to Biloxi to play Mississippi State, and then on to Hattiesburg to open up conference play. Excuse me. So we're into it now, and got to keep working and get it figured out.
Yeah, still everything in the Sun Belt ahead of us here. So it may be a couple of tough teams to figure some things out against, but I think that's really going to separate who wants to compete and who doesn't. I mean, I think we'll find that out in the next 4 for sure.
Yep, I agree with that. Yeah, without a doubt. We're getting down to that. The guys that are going to compete are the ones that are going to play. And the other one's going to sit on the bench and watch those guys compete. That's how it needs to work. Well, Bobby Knight said the bench attached to the butt somehow attaches to the brain, and it sends some pretty good signals sometimes. So you gotta do what you're supposed to do and compete the way it's supposed to be done, and that's how it's always been.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time as always. It's been awesome having you on here all season. I know our fans are enjoying it. CB and I absolutely love it. I told you earlier, it's the best part of my week, bringing everybody on here.
Well, good luck getting that new car, Gary. And I hope this one will last you 20 years too, man.
Hey, if I get 16 out of another Civic, I will be very, very happy.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach.
We'll see you.
This episode of the Monarchist Podcast is brought to you by the Pride of ODU Collective. Their mission is to elevate the experience of student athletes through name, image, and likeness, while also elevating the fan experience. If you or your business are interested in getting involved, you can reach out to us directly or go over to theprideofodu.com. That is theprideofodu.com. Thank you for listening, and go Monarchs.
All right. Well, great to get some raw insight from Coach Finny for sure. I think challenging his guys to be more competitive. I think it's what the fans were saying out there. It's so hard to tell with baseball when you can't see it. Because you look at the box score, and box score tells one thing, but reality is a different.
Let's say we're guessing that Ben got hit by a line drive, and it's like, nope, he's sick.
Yeah, he's fine. So, yeah. Well, someone who definitely played very, very well on Sunday, leading us to a win up there in Murfreesboro, Blake Morgan. Go ahead and bring him on here to the show. Blake, thanks so much for joining us.
What's up, guys? How are you?
What's up, dude?
What's up?
Yeah, we heard
How's it
you had
going,
a
man?
late night getting into Norfolk Airport last night.
We did, yeah. It was a bit late. It wasn't too bad though. We're kind of used to coming back between that 12 and 1 range, so it's just another weekend for us.
Another weekend before you gear up for a very long trip. I think Coach Finny
Yep.
said you're going to drive to Charlotte and fly the rest, and then go down into Mississippi after that.
Yep. So it should be a drive to Charlotte, and then I'm not really sure if we're driving from Charlotte down to Auburn, but I know that at the end of it, once we leave Southern Miss, we'll be flying back. So that's about the only information I know right now.
I think he said driving all the way down, and then when you
Okay,
guys
yeah.
finally finish
That's right.
in Southern Miss, flying back. Yeah.
Yep, that would make sense.
I'm glad I just tell me what time to be on a bus or on a plane. I'll be there. I'm good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, hell of an outing on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think it was your longest outing of your career at ODU. 7 2/3, 2 earned runs, 7 hits, 7 strikeouts, just 1 walk. How were you feeling out there on Sunday?
I was feeling like myself. That's the closest version I've had to myself in a long time. Conference tournament last year, pitching against Louisiana, like bunch of adrenaline there. That was like the best I'd been that season coming off the injury. So that was cool to see to end the season off. And then I threw really well all throughout the fall, and I was feeling really great about all my stuff. And then I was just having trouble translating that, kind of just translating the mindset for the first 2 weeks. Really just like getting in that me versus you like competitive mindset, and I think I found that yesterday, and I think that's a huge stepping stone to keep going from there, and something to work off of for sure.
You definitely had some me versus you. There was some excitement after some of those strikeouts, some of those outs. You getting pretty pumped up, man? I mean, is that fun when you're out there doing that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, everyone on the team knows like I'm a super high energy guy, and any chance I get to show that, I'm going to. So to be out there in a high leverage situation, getting things done, like it was super cool to fire my team up coming off the mound every inning. So.
Yeah, Coach Finwood said your velo was still up there in those later innings with your fastball. I know you're honestly still probably working back from that injury from a year and a half, 2 years ago. I can just tell by the smile on your face and the energy out there on the field that you're pretty excited to kind of get back to that point where you can throw some gas in those late innings.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, velo. I mean, it's never really a huge worry of mine. I mean, I've never been one to overpower anyone with the fastball, but just kind of being able to hold my velo, it's nice to know that like my arm can sustain all of that. So that's a good thing to know for sure.
What's the biggest difference for you? I mean, we'll just talk about you as a player, as a person, everything today compared to say, 2022, your freshman year.
So I would say compared to 2022, I mean, I was a super immature person. As far as a player, I would say I've definitely matured on the field as well, but a lot of my like growth has been from an off the field standpoint, and kind of just like having my things in line off of the field has created like more room for success for me to have on the field, which has been super helpful.
Wait, you're telling me if you have your shit together in life, you end up being a better baseball player?
Not exactly, but it definitely helps.
Is that? Oh, okay. I it feels like what you actually said though, but that's fine. All right.
Definitely helps.
All right.
Yeah, well, I know that y'all are gearing up for this big road trip, and we kind of know that that's where the team tends to gel. I know you've had some road trips, but what are you looking forward to outside of the actual games, getting to do on this kind of week and a half, 2 week trip that y'all are going on?
Yeah, so definitely being on the road brings us so close together as a team. I mean, we're already like light years closer than we were like coming out of the fall, and I think you start to learn that, especially with conference play, when things start to get a bit more competitive, and like it really means something every time you're out there. Like obviously, every time we go out there, I mean, it means something to all of us, but it just means that much more when we're playing for conference, and like super exciting to get out there. Obviously, we got Auburn and Mississippi State before all that, but to go play some competitive teams in front of some big fan bases, it should be really good for us.
We're gonna hit a casino in Biloxi. I think I'm staying in the casino. That's apparently that's. I've never been to one. Apparently that's what you got to do. So we got blackjack 21. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't think our $40 meal money is going to be enough for that. So
That's more than I got. So yeah.
Put it all in a roulette number and hope for the best. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm curious. Like, what are you thinking going? You're probably gonna be starting Sunday against Auburn. That crowd's gonna be crazy. They're nationally ranked now, SEC country. Like, I'm sure you're not changing your preparation, but what's going through your mind knowing that you're gonna have that crowd there? Is that the biggest crowd you played in front of, by the way?
Um, if it's not, it'll be a close second to Southern Miss. That was a crazy atmosphere my freshman year, and I was able to deal with that and handle it the way that I would have wanted to. The biggest thing is just trying not to add. Like there's a huge crowd out there. Like it makes you want to add more to everything. Like add more to the fastball, add more to the changeup, add more to the breaking ball. Like it makes you want to add, and it's just like just continuing to stay on that kind of flat line and just still be myself no matter what. So I haven't really thought too much about the crowd. I mean, it won't be the biggest stage I've ever been on, and I'm sure there will be bigger ones in the future. So I'm just kind of staying level headed and just excited.
You might have just thrown a challenge down to Southern Miss the next weekend to make
Yeah.
it bigger. So that they're going to look at whatever the number is Sunday in Auburn and be like, we got to top that. But I love
Right.
that. That's
Yeah.
great. That's a great point. That the game is hard enough without having to add extra stuff. It's cool if it feels good. It's fun to play in front of people. But aside from that, not a big deal.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, the mustard buzzards tend to show up pretty good for baseball. The coop there in right field is a unique experience too. Yeah, well, change gears a little bit. We ask everybody who comes on who's in your baseball house. So who are you living with this year?
Oof. So right now it's me, Nick Solpizio, and Owen Urusi, who's going to be a red shirt the whole year. He's coming back from some surgery issues right now. So
Okay,
three of us pitchers, two lefties.
Two
so
lefties
lefty
and
house.
all pitchers of the same house. That is
Yep.
so. You talk about not having your shit together. That's the house for it.
Luckily, there's only three of us, so we're able to keep it pretty clean pretty easily.
That's
So
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get back to asking another question too, because with MLB The Show coming out, there's a college component now, and it's got that itch for that old school college baseball game. So put you on the spot. If they do make the college baseball game and you're in it, what is your overall rating and where are you
Oof.
spiking at?
Oh gosh.
Did we
I'm
ask
gonna.
him this last year? I don't remember if we did or not.
I can't remember, honestly.
I can't. Well, clearly he doesn't remember either, so we're all fine.
Yeah, I don't remember. So I would say I'm giving my overall an 80 overall. And what was the second part of the question?
Just where you might spike in some of those categories. Breaking
Okay.
What's your
ball.
highest rating?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So highest rating being command for sure. Even though past couple weeks I have had some issues with command, but going out there yesterday and throwing 7.2 innings with only one walk, like that was huge for me. That was me out there, and it felt good to be that finally. So I would say that would be my highest rating, and I would say my lowest rating would be velocity probably. Everyone knows that I don't throw very hard, and I'm completely okay with that because I'm able to throw it wherever I want. So I would take the tick on that. Yeah.
I love the modern age where the guy that doesn't throw very hard is still hitting 90. Like it's like, yeah, oh yeah, this guy doesn't throw very hard, 90. Okay, cool.
Right.
Uh, no, I like that. You're very reminiscent. Jay Cassidy last year he
Yep.
was like what do you say, like a sneaky 82. He was like right in
Yeah.
that range where it's like, you play against your friend. They're like, how do you keep beating me with this guy? I think that's you kind of worked up the same thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no solid contact coming off the bat because everything
Yeah.
is moving a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you a little bit too about catchers. I know the game has changed a little bit with pitch com and things like that, but I think Evan Holman has kind of proven to be a really good catcher back there. Great with strategy, great with blocking. What's it like having him as your battery mate? I know he caught you on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean he's awesome. He is just a complete total workhorse, and I mean he's out there trying to win just as much as all of us are, and he's great energy to have back there, like coming off the mound every inning. I mean he's right there to give me a fist pump, like tell me good job and just tell me to keep going, and it's nice to know that like he's back there working his ass off and like he's gonna do everything he can for me. So.
He really does get out there. He almost meets you guys at the mound.
Oh
Like you
yeah,
barely take a
oh
few
yeah,
steps off.
yeah. He's up
Yeah.
and ready to go. I mean he's waiting for me at the line before I even get there. So.
got to stretch those legs out after squatting for a little while.
Yeah, exactly.
So Blake, you're a senior, which is crazy. I saw you play a game there in high school, so it's wild to sit here and say you're in your senior year
Yeah,
at
I know.
college. So are you graduating on time? Or are
So I'm
you
gonna graduate in the summer. I'll walk at the
okay?
same time as everyone else, and I'll have one class to take over the summer, and then I'm good.
So what's your degree in? And
Uh,
is there a plan? I'm sure you're tired of people asking this right now. This is all you're getting, but
so my degree, after the summer, I'll have my degree in leadership, and I'll have a minor in criminal justice as well.
okay.
criminal justice was always something that was interested, like I was interested in. More like the criminology side of things, though, like FBI agent type of stuff.
I was gonna say director of the FBI. That's what I'm hearing in this.
That's stuff that I like. That's the kind of stuff I'm into. Obviously, like watching Netflix shows and stuff like that. Like I just think that stuff is super cool. Um, the plan is to play baseball until the wheels fall off, though. That's
do
for
it.
sure. No matter where it is, like I'm gonna play until I can't anymore. I love doing what I do, and I want to do it as long as I can. So.
I definitely, I mean, I hate to ever talk to you guys about scouts and all, but I definitely noticed you could see him kind of in the back yesterday. And, you could tell they were there to watch the other guy. He was throwing 95. He's the draft
Right.
kind of guy.
Right.
And then as you kind of kept going and going, a few of them are pulling their books back out and pulling their guns
Yeah.
back out. It's like, oh, yeah, well, we might need to look at what actually pitching looks like, not just throwing hard. I really think that's, that was the Moneyball thing. It wasn't just about walks and on base percentage. It was about finding the market inefficiency. What's the thing that people aren't doing that actually matters?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I think that's going to become actually being a good pitcher. As you just keep focusing on guys who throw 100 miles an hour and have no idea where it's going, that getting guys who actually know how to pitch is going to be the market inefficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, especially you're seeing a lot of these guys that are throwing that 101, 102, starting to have arm issues, and then they end up, out for 2 seasons, and that's not really good for any team. The best ability is availability, right?
Absolutely.
Paul Skeens is amazing, and I thoroughly enjoy watching him pitch. I've still got to kind of bet with myself going that by about July this year, it's going to happen.
Yep.
Which sucks. It's bad for the game.
It's hard not to think that. I mean, he's another guy who's just like he's built to do what he does. I mean, he's like you could look at his body and be like, oh, he could probably sustain that as long as he wants to. But I mean, he's just a full combination. He throws hard. He's a full pitcher. Like he gets outs. He's a competitor. That's like, especially for young people, like that's someone you look up to.
Yeah. I saw him throw there when I went and saw Carter Trice play with Team USA. He came out of the bullpen. I'm like, this guy's with Air Force. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
I knew all about Cruz. He was in the game. I was like, oh, I had heard of him, but I was like, I have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who is your MLB team? Who do you root for?
I'm a Phillies fan.
Gross.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll do a slight turn here just to just throw on the wall there, just not to rub anything in, turn that a little bit.
You Eagles guy too?
No, I'm a Steelers guy just because my parents are Steelers fan. Well, my dad's a Steelers
At least you got one of those two correct.
Right.
76ers? We just a sad 76ers
fan? I'm a sad 76ers fan.
Sad times. I got a Joel Embiid action figure over here that gets more action than the real Joel Embiid does.
That's very true.
Oh, well, that is awesome. Well, I guess CB, anything else here for Blake?
No, I mean, I just, Blake's awesome. I'm such a huge fan. He's just one of those, he's the same guy he's always been. He's just a genuinely good person. His parents are great people. They did a great job on him. And I feel like I say this to a lot of guys, but I think it's because it's true with a lot of guys. You're what we want a Monarch to be. I've enjoyed getting to watch you, man. And, I'm really looking for, I hope to see a very good finish to the year here for you, man. The finish for this third week, but
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It feels like we're further into the season just because it's been on the road so much. We haven't had eyes on you as often. I know that'll change up here in a couple of weeks when we get some Sunbelt series, at least back in the 757.
Yep, I'm definitely excited for that.
Yeah, a couple games at Harbor Park. That'll be a nice warm up for you when you're in AAA.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hope so. That'd be awesome.
That would be.
Well, Blake, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you joining us. Travel safe all throughout the next 2 weeks, and good luck at Auburn, and of course, good luck the following week down at Southern Miss.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Cool.
All right,
thanks
Blake.
so much.
See you Friday in Auburn, man.
Yep, sounds good. See you guys later.
All right, bud. Thanks, Blake.
All right, it was awesome having Blake join us. Just so easy to talk to.
Love that
he's
kid.
not too big of a Phillies fan.
Yeah, I mean that part's gross. I can't. That's like 67% of the team is Phillies fans. It's disgusting. That's just their.
It's the recruiting footprint. I'm gonna come home one day and
this
flag's gonna be off my wall, and Blake's gonna have it somewhere on fire.
I just know that if they had been born like 10 years earlier, they'll all be Yankee fans. It's just because the Phillies happen to be good when they were kids. So that's all. It's fine.
That's true. The recruiting footprint, man. We got a lot of Jersey guys, PA guys.
That's the downside. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, we got some players of the week here, and CB, I'll let you run through them here. Some crazy numbers for Dylan
Sure.
Brown.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan, what more can you say? I mean, I'm wondering, are we ever going to break the, and Blake had a great week. Blake, the only thing kept Blake from not being here and being the player of the week, because we're trying to pick a pitcher and a position player, is Dylan. He another 6 scoreless innings, only 1 walk, only 4 hits, 7 strikeouts. And as Finny pointed out, probably could have pitched a little bit more. It was cold. His pitch count was getting a little up there. So they were kind of, trying to, again, protect him because it is week 3. We're not even in conference yet. He's up to 19 innings. He's given up no runs. He's got 30 strikeouts to lead the team. I mean, he's only 8 hits, only 5 walks through the 19 innings. So he's phenomenal. His whip is 0.68. I mean, that's outstanding. And as good as he's been, they've lost 2 of the 3 games he's pitched in because, no matter how many runs you don't give up, if you don't score them, it's not going to work. And then the hitter of the week, I'll be honest, this one was a little hard to decide. We didn't really have anybody who had kind of an amazing week. Maverick Stallings was kind of in the running. He was 6 for 15 on the week. Didn't look so great on Sunday. Who else we have? TJ Aiken had another. He was 3 for 10 with 4 walks during the week. So he had a solid week. We gave it to Zach Lead. We felt like he really only started 1 game. I didn't really realize that he actually came in pinch hitting in the first 3 games of the week. Got a walk in one of them. But 3 hits on Sunday, so 3 for 6 with a walk, a double, 2 RBIs, and a stolen base out of the big burly first baseman, which we love to see. So and he had a good week last week. He was 3 for 9 with 2 doubles and a home run. So 2 doubles, a home run, 2 RBIs. So that's 6 for 15 the last 2 weeks. It's pretty solid. So hopefully he'll keep getting those chances and keep producing because I've enjoyed getting to watch him in the fall. Very talented hitter. Like I said, and clearly the defense, needs some work, but he's not the worst first baseman we've had in the last few years. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he seemed to be the guy that got that run scoring hit for us. Like Coach Finwood was talking about, like we're getting some guys on, we're not getting them in. He was able to, we scored 5 runs, but we only had 3 ribbies and he had 2 of them. So 3 for 4 in that win is huge. And going to need more guys to step up like that with runners on base. I mean, you heard it from Finny himself. Like guys are just not getting it done at the dish with runners on, and got to start getting a little creative and looking around the base paths a little bit instead of, ripping.
I think for some of the fans who've been, I mean, there's always the fans who, no matter what happened, baseball falls in this really unfortunate part of the year where people have watched the football team underperform and the basketball team. Well, I mean, really the men's team has honestly done much better than it did last year, where people kind of forget that, but then in people's minds, if they're not amazing, they're underperforming. And so they get kind of frustrated with both of them. And then by the time baseball rolls around, if things aren't perfect, they're just crapping all over them from week 1. So I hopefully it's good for them to hear, like, Finn was right there with you. There was definitely a different tone from him this week where it was like, okay, yeah, we want to support you. We want to say the reality, but also like, you guys got to show up and do some stuff. So I think it was not, it's probably nice, I hope, for the fans to realize, like, no, he's frustrated too. Like he gets it. He sees it. I mean, it's the same things that you and I were texting last night and earlier today. It's like, hey, they got to put the ball in play more. They got to, put the ball in play harder. And that's just not what's happening right now.
Yeah, just those grittier at bats where you're fouling
Yeah.
off 3 or 4 pitches and you're not letting that pitcher strike you out and you're not chasing the balls that are down in the dirt. I just, I'm not going to say that these guys are giving up because they're too competitive at their core to just roll over for anybody. But it does kind of seem like it's I got 2 strikes now. I better rip one. And instead of, Coach Finwood said, like, choke up a little bit, crowd the plate, see what you can do. And we'll see. I mean, they're going to go into an exceptionally tough environment this weekend. Exceptionally tough against a really, really good baseball team.
The whole week. I mean, they're gonna in Auburn and then in Southern Miss, and the game. I don't know. I honestly have no idea about the state of Mississippi, how far things are. I don't know how far Mississippi State is from Biloxi. I don't know what their home crowd is going to be, but I mean, it's you're going to be in 3 big places against 3 top 25 teams. It's going to be real.
Yeah, though I'm sure the Klenga Brigade will be down there with the cowbells in Biloxi, just dong dong the whole time.
Gonna hate that.
Yeah, that won't
Yeah.
get old at all.
I can't wait to experience that. No, but I
Yeah.
mean, these guys, we really do. The guys, there's not enough intent to, like I said, put the ball in play. Nobody's trying to go the other way. You see a lot of the hip. I mean, the one that just drives me crazy is the hip flying out, and then the bat and the on a away pitch. So your bat ends up being almost a foot away from the ball. It's just you gotta get out there, dive after it, go after the ball. And like you said, it's grit. It's grit. It's want to. And Finney makes a great point that the guys who do it are going to be playing. They have enough flexibility with these guys. There's enough guys that can play multiple positions that you can move them around, that you can put 9 out there who really want to do it.
And that's why I asked him that question of like, when do you pull the ripcord
Yeah.
when a slow start is like, this is going to be a slow season? And it's so hard in baseball. Like if you watch Major League Baseball, if you watch college baseball,
Yeah.
guys can look like absolute dumpster fires the first month of the season. And then they are your go-to red hot hitter by the time the conference tournament. So it's such a weird balancing act. And I like what he
I
says.
mean,
where
Maverick Stallings, that was a great example of that last year.
yeah. I mean, if we didn't have him down the stretch, we're in
Yeah.
we're in more trouble than we already were at that point in the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like these next 2 weekends is kind of when he's going to know, like, how much do you want to compete after playing these really tough teams? And I think he's going to reward the guys that show that ability to compete and want to fight. And they're mad because they missed an opportunity to drive in a run. They aren't mad that they lowered the batting average.
Yeah, and I think his answer was great when he was saying, it's in the eyes, because there's a different look between a guy, like you said, who is frustrated and upset that he let his team down, and frustrated and upset that he didn't do something for himself. And it is it's I don't like to be, not that I'm calling Finney this, but I don't like being the old man on the porch who's these kids today and all that. But I mean, there's a shift. You see it in the major leagues, you see it in all major sports. It's not as much about guys wanting to do things, but when you see the teams that succeed and play really well in every sport are the ones where guys are doing that stuff. And so it's so ironic that it becomes the trend not to do it, but then the ones who succeed are the ones who do it.
Yeah, you got to be able to deal with that adversity and overcome it, and really team over self. And I don't want to paint the picture that everybody on the roster is not in it for the team. I think they
Not at
are.
all.
I just think
Yeah.
they got to refocus on it. And the
Yeah.
coaching staffs of any program, I don't care if it's baseball, football, basketball, you can coach them, you can practice them to death, you can do everything you can to motivate them. There's got to be a level of self motivation there. Like, guys have got to be able to pick themselves up off the mat. They can't look at what your overall record is. They just have to look at the game that's in front of you and do everything you can to go and win it. But it's tough. I mean, was always going to be a season of adversity. You're on the road. It's a hell of a schedule. You don't have a home ballpark to go to because it's under construction. But don't let those be excuses. Let those be things that motivate you and make you want to go play in that nice new stadium next year.
It's funny, just now you were talking, I was thinking it's funny how much in that kind of one instance coaching has this overlap with being a fan. Like I said, you can only do so much. You can only give what you have. As a fan, that you can show up, you can yell for them, you can cheer for them, you can buy the hat and buy the shirt and all this, and be there every day and then rooting them on. And at the end of the day, the result's gonna be the result. And it really is up to the players to do that. Which again, you're relying on 18 to 24-year-old kids. And so as a coach, I'm sure it's even more, because that's your livelihoods depending on it. For us fans, we just kind of go home a little bit sad sometimes. For them, it's like, I might get fired. Might have to
Yeah.
sell my house and move my wife and kids.
Yeah, that's a very real side of things too. But you made a good point earlier about baseball season is just unfortunately positioned where if you didn't
Yeah.
have a good football season, you didn't have a good basketball season, fans are already coming in hot. And believe me, I feel
Yeah.
it. Like you start looking through what some of our teams did this year, and you start realizing this has not been a good season for the athletic department. Like it's been tough. Like we could end up with a couple conference championships because it's tennis season, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to make the majority of the fan base very happy. So I think there is some
I don't
some
think the majority of the
unfair
fans
heat,
cares about anything but football and basketball anyway. They're not worried about what we do in 10. They don't know that volleyball had a really poor second half. They don't they're like the football and the basketball. That's all most of our fans care about.
yeah, they don't see field hockey out there grinding, and like
Right. They don't see
if
the
anyone's
crosses.
upset,
got more wins than they had all last season already.
Yeah, and if you have a problem with women's soccer, you can come talk to me. They won 3 conference titles in a row. They're allowed to only make
Great.
the championship game once.
Yeah, they
So,
played great. Like
yeah,
they had a really good season.
but it does start to stack up,
They
and
made me like watching soccer, which says a lot. They made me actually enjoy myself, and I was rooting. I was like, this soccer is kind of fun when you have see it at a really high level.
Yeah, they had their year-end team awards and their alumni game on Saturday. Got invited to it. Unfortunately, was not able to go down there this weekend.
I think
but-
they had to change it to April, so you might be right.
Oh, did they? Oh, that could be
Yeah,
good
they changed the
news.
alumni game. I don't know about the awards.
Oh, we'll see. I'll have to go through my email inbox. It's currently overflowing to see if I got another one from the team. But yeah,
There you
but anyway, like their fans are coming in hot and
Yeah.
understandably hot. Like
Yeah.
I don't think you find too many ODU fans that are like everything's great with ODU athletics
Yeah.
right now. Like we got to win more. We got to win more across the board. And I think
Got to
you
win more rivalry games because they're not
Oh,
rivalries when you get
Jesus.
beat all the time.
I
I don't think JMU thinks of us as a rival, unfortunately.
Why would they? All we've done is lose to them basically since we end up in the same conference. Baseball might be the exception to that, and
Yeah.
not to the degree we should be beating JMU in baseball. But yeah, I mean, but you could tell from Coach Finwood, like he's a little irritated, like he's fired up
Yeah.
like the rest of us. He feels like we should have had more wins last week. I feel like that too. Like I'm not saying we should have gone 4-0, played some good
Yeah.
teams, but 2-2 would be a lot easier for me to stomach today than 1-3 because it does not get easier. Like there is no other easier weekend than the one we just had.
Yeah, because now you're talking about 2 top 25 teams and then conference play, including one of those top 25 teams. And Troy is down the line; they're also top 25, and some of these other. I mean, Coastal is always really good. That's toward the end of the year. You're talking about some really good baseball teams. They might come in with records that aren't looking great, but also because they had to go play all these other buzzsaws of teams.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we become that team that you look at the overall record and you're like, ODU's not
Yeah.
doing anything. But you look at that Sun Belt record and we start climbing, we start competing there. That's the hope, and they will get the trial by fire before they get there. I mean, it's been a grind already, and you got Auburn and Mississippi State.
I saw Georgia Tech's top 25 now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. This is a hard. I mean, like as we pointed out, this is a hard schedule. I think it's harder than it was when they scheduled it.
yes, yeah, these teams have come out of nowhere and all of a sudden better than we thought. So yeah, but you just got to keep grinding away, one game at a time, and hope that you can pull out some wins and like really buckle down when you get in those Sun Belt games. Because we should finish top half of the Sun Belt. Like I think we've got the talent to do it. We got the coaching, we got the background to do it. Not having games at the Bud stinks, but then again, that everyone's dealing with adversity through this. So I want to see more wins. I'm hopeful they can get them. But if you sneak 1 or 2 ranked wins out of the next 7, you're going to feel a little bit better, even though the record won't look good.
And they got the talent. It can happen. I'm looking forward to. I'm heading down Friday morning, flying down to Atlanta, driving over to Auburn. I'm going to be with them all weekend in Auburn. I'm going to follow them to Biloxi. Going to be there for the game Tuesday against Mississippi State. And then I'm going to follow them to Hattiesburg and be there all weekend for Southern Miss. So I'm super excited. I think it's going to be. It's a couple of places I've only heard about, only seen on TV. They look like amazing places to play baseball. Looking forward to seeing Carl Nunnemaker with Auburn. Missed him from when he was here. So I'm excited. It's gonna be tough. I'm not expecting him to come out 7-0, right? That's not. I think at the same time they got talent. They can fight. I think the cool thing about baseball is any day anybody can beat anybody. If you show up and do the right stuff, there's you see it all the time. You see random college team beat a spring training. Even the spring training team is, it's like, well, Northwestern goes down and plays the Red Sox all the time. It's like, yeah, they're not the Red Sox. It's spring training, but it's like they're still college kids playing a bunch of pros, and sometimes they win because that's the reality. Is any given day in a baseball game, somebody can win.
I can't remember if it was my freshman year in 05 or my sophomore year in 06, but this is back when ODU still would go play the Tides at Harbor Park before they started their season. And I remember ODU beat them. And the 9th inning, some guy named Dan Hudson comes on to pitch. And I believe he struck out the first batter, got a weak ground out. And the third batter was Lastings Millage, which at the time, big time prospect, ended up in the league for a while. Dan Hudson just embarrassed him at the plate. I mean, absolutely embarrassed him at the plate. ODU wins. Lastings Millage is coming out there giving him hat, bat, every piece of equipment. Like, I'm done with baseball. It can happen. But yeah, it's gonna be it's going to be tough. But I mean,
Yeah, but
should be
and
playing
that's
loose and
where
free. Like, go win.
yeah, as they've talked about, it's going to be tough. You got to be tougher. Go and grind and fight for your guys, fight for your team. You otherwise this is going to be a long season.
Yeah. Well,
And then what are you doing it for? Why are you here if you're not going to fight and play? Let me tell you, as old fat guys, you only you're not fat, I am, but
I'm getting there.
you don't. I believe in you, but you don't get to play baseball forever. There's gonna be a certain point where it ain't gonna happen, and for a lot of us, it's high school. Some of us is middle school, but for these guys, at the very least, it's college, and get out there and make it happen.
Yeah, if there's anything that gives me confidence going into the stretch is that the starting pitching on the weekends has
Yeah.
been awesome. And we didn't have that luxury a lot last year. We had the
No.
opener, and sometimes things would go haywire. And I feel like our starting pitching gives us a chance to be in the games late. And that's where teams that are going to be big underdogs are going to have an opportunity. I mean, we're probably going to be plus 2,200 in some of these games against Auburn, which is not great. But
I don't know what that
you know,
means, but okay.
22-1 basically to win if you're
Oh.
betting horse racing. But I think our starting pitching gives us a better chance than that.
Yeah.
And we come in.
And I
and
think
this is
our
what we do.
rotation could compete with SEC teams.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Brown's quickly becoming one of the best pitchers in the country, and I'm not being hyperbolic here. Like,
I saw
legit.
some. I don't know. I don't even know what the publication was, but Brandon Pond shared it earlier. It was some publication gave him the pitcher of the month for college for February.
Yeah, you know how hard that is to do in February to
Yeah.
be consistent as a pitcher.
Yeah.
It's tough to do. So they just got to get it together. They got to hit, and you know how baseball is. One dude has some crazy hit somewhere in the lineup. The dugout gets fired up, and the hits are on. And it's like, how do we ever not hit before? This is so easy to hit. And it can turn off just as quickly as well. And I think that's what we kind of saw this weekend. But when that flip switches, and especially if you get momentum, like we're doing this to number 22 or whatever they're ranked, it just catches like wildfire, and all of a sudden you're this bus of doom rolling into all of these SEC schools and Southern Miss, just ready to deliver pain and ruin their fans' day.
Well, I'm all for it. I'm excited to be there. I won't be on the bus, but I'll be adjacent to the bus as the doom rolls in.
I'm jealous that you're getting to go to all these games, man. I wish I could get down there for just one, but you're going to have an awesome trip down there. Get to see a lot of really great baseball and some cool environments.
Well, I'll be much more poor afterwards if that helps at all.
Yeah, that's true. I just had to buy a car, so there's that.
There you
go. Awesome. Well, I think that's going to about do it for us today, unless you got something else, CB.
No, it was great. It was really. I always enjoy talking to Blake. It's always phenomenal, and Finny, as always, is enjoyable. And today, I think it was really nice to hear again a different tone. Just the reality of like, no, he sees it. He's aware. You guys are sitting at home on the couch. You're not seeing things he's not seeing. Like it's the same. Like he's got the same feeling about it. He's working to correct it.
Yeah, he just has to be more professional than the rest of us can be on social media.
Right, exactly. He can't cry and complain and act like a little baby.
That's very true. Ride the highs and lows with each pitch. So.
Yeah. That's the thing I like about it. I don't maybe that's a football thing where there's only like 12 games, so you get all excited about every single one. But to me, the thing I like about baseball is it's long, and you every single inning is long, and there's so many pitches and outs and strikes, and you can't get too amped up about it. Yeah, you get excited, yeah, you get down about stuff, but it's you have to kind of stay in that middle ground to make it through a baseball season.
Yeah, make it through a game. Otherwise, you're gonna need blood pressure medications really quickly.
Right. I mean, it's our boy Bo. He wears himself out by the seventh inning. Sometimes he gets too amped up, but it's like, hey man, you got to pace yourself. These things are gonna go all 9.
Yeah, it's a long season, and we're just now to March. We still got a good ways to go here, but awesome. Well, thanks to everyone out there listening, tuning in on YouTube. We love doing this stuff. We love getting Coach Finwood and some players on and letting you kind of hear their stories and hear it directly from them, and not just, as you put it, two fat guys talk about baseball. Which on the way. I'm on the way, bud. Got a brisket heating up in the oven.
I believe in you. You can get there.
Oh yes. Well, again, thanks for joining. If you know an ODU baseball fan that hasn't watched, steal their phone, subscribe them on YouTube, Spotify, get the word out. This is where you'll find Coach Finwood all season this year. But other than that, thank you all for listening. Go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.